Hey folks, in this video we're going to take a look at a solution for backing up your computer. The particular solution we're going to be looking at is specifically very useful for backing up entire drives or partitions, as well as operating systems that are contained on them. Before getting into the meat of the video, I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who has subscribed to my channel thus far. Every time I see a new subscriber, it puts a smile on my face, and I really do a little celebration. That being said, if you're watching this video and are not yet subscribed, if you would take the moment to subscribe to my channel, it would be greatly appreciated. I'd also like to mention along those lines that I will be doing a giveaway once I reach 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. So, today we'll be taking a look at Clonezilla, which is a free and open source drive or partition imaging software. This means that the entirety of a drive or partition can be backed up. This can be very useful if you're downloading an update or some sketchy software, and should be done regularly anyways, just as a precaution. Should something at any point break on your operating system where it no longer works, or at least doesn't work the same way it did, you can restore it to the state when you image that drive or partition, and it will be working in the same way that it was at that point prior to whatever broke or damaged the system. So with that broad overview, let's jump right into it. So to start off with, you'll need a USB of some kind. So just plug that into your computer. Next, we'll open up Chrome and just go to the link I've included in the description for the Clonezilla files. And you're going to want to download the zip file for Clonezilla. As you can see, I'm running an AMD system, so you have to select based on your computer's architecture. And then it should just pop up with a download link. I'm going to save that and just wait for that to download through. While I waited for this to download, I ensured that my USB was formatted as an NTFS file system, and you're going to want to do this on your USB as well. This is one of the two options. You can also do FAT32, but I found that NTFS worked better and easier. So once that file has finished downloading, you're just going to want to open up File Explorer, go to the zip file that downloaded, and then you're going to want to extract that file to the USB drive, directly to it, no folders within it or anything. Once that finishes up extracting, you're going to want to navigate to the utils folder, then Win64, and you're going to see a file labeled makeboot64. Now with this file, you're going to want to right click it and run as an administrator, and this will pull up a command line prompt. And really it's just going to take you through and pretty much do everything for you while just confirming that you want to do all of the listed actions. So you're just going to have to hit enter through this menu, and it'll set up your USB key for you once you have that zip file extracted to the USB key. So now that we've finished with that step, we're going to want to shut down and then turn the computer on, and then boot into the BIOS or UEFI menu. Once in the BIOS or UEFI menu, you're going to want to go into the boot options and then select the USB drive to boot up to. After doing so, you'll be met with the Clonezilla landing screen, and you're just going to want to hit enter on that first option for Clonezilla Live at default settings. After doing that, Clonezilla is just going to go through a little boot routine here, and then it's going to bring you into the first menu. Just select English or the language of choice, and then keep the keyboard settings. Now you'll want to hit enter to start Clonezilla. You'll want to hit enter again for device to image, which means you're going to be working with disks and images. Then you're going to want to go to local dev or local device. So hit enter on that, and it'll begin this menu. You'll just hit enter to continue again. Then it's going to bring up a menu with the drives available. If you want to plug in another drive, go ahead and do that before you press Control-C. Once you have the drive in that you're going to want to use, you can press Control-C to continue. And just to be clear, this drive that you're selecting is going to be the drive that you save the image or backup to. Once Clonezilla goes through and identifies all the available partitions, you'll be brought into this menu here, where you can decide on the particular partition that you're going to want to go into to save that backup file to. Now in my case, I'm going to select my 3.7 terabytes, in this case, hard drive, which I will be using to save the image to. So now you're going to be able to choose the particular directory that you want to save the image to. Once you've decided, you can either hit abort, as I did here, and say I don't want to do it again, or you can use the side arrows to go through to the done option, both of which have the same result. Now it's going to give you just a little overview of the drive you selected, and then it's going to take you into the... Now here you're going to want to do save parts, which means you're only going to be saving partitions from a drive instead of a drive as a whole. Following this selection, you're going to be brought into an area where you can name the image that you're going to make. In my case, I'm backing up a macOS partition, so I'm going to call it just that, macOS backup. Once you hit enter, it's going to identify the partitions that can be backed up, and then it's going to bring you to a menu where you can select the particular partition that you're going to want to back up. In my case, I'm going straight for the 186 gigabyte partition that holds my macOS operating system. And then to select it, you're just going to want to hit the space bar. It puts a little asterisk in that menu bar there. And then you'll just hit enter to continue. Now here, I'm going to skip the checking and repairing of the source file system. And I am going to check the saved image. Now this takes a little extra time, but it's worthwhile to make sure it's accurate. I'm choosing not to encrypt the image. And then here you can just choose what you're going to want to do once the imaging actually completes. In my case, I'm choosing shut down. Then it's going to bring you into the final menu options. You're just going to hit enter to continue just to confirm. Then it's going to ask whether or not you're sure that you want to continue with this process. You just hit yes, and then it begins the process of imaging or backing up the partition. Now, depending on your actual usage level of that partition, this can take quite a long time. If you only have the operating system, don't have a ton of apps and files downloaded, it will actually be relatively quick. But if you do have high usage of that partition, it's going to take quite a while. So set aside some time. In my case, it took in the realm of 22-23 minutes. Now, keep in mind this is still significantly sped up, but once it finishes, it's just going to take you through the process of shutting down as instructed. You see this happening, you know it's done. So it's now the next day, because I realized I forgot to film a segue into the next part of the video, but this next portion is important for actually restoring the image or the backup that you made of your operating system or partition. So without further ado, let's jump into that portion of the video. So to start off, you're going to want to boot into Clonezilla just as you did before, and select the drive that you saved the image to. Then select the directory, if there is any, that holds the image. And in my case, it was this directory. So I just hit enter once I've found the directory with the image. I click on beginner mode again. And in this case, we're going to use restore parts to only restore a partition. Now we're going to choose that image. If there are multiple, choose the right one, and then just select using the spacebar again and then hitting enter which partition we saved that we want to write to. Now we'll be selecting the partition that we're going to write that image to. In this case, I made a 195 gigabyte partition, and the partition you choose has to be larger or the same size as the partition you imaged or backed up. Now I'm going to choose to choose afterwards what I do once this process is finished, I hit enter a couple times, and then I will be brought to a menu that just ensures I understand that when you image the disk or partition, everything on it is going to be overwritten and deleted. So I hit yes to continue, and then I'll do so one more time just to confirm that I understand everything will be overwritten. And with that, it begins the process of writing that image to the partition that you selected. Again, depending on the size of the image that you're writing to your drive, it can take quite a while, so prepare to have something else to do while it's going about this process, since it does take quite a long time, especially if the usage of that drive was on the higher end. Now, skipping to the end here, it's just going to finish up with this process, and then once it fully completes imaging the drive, it's going to verify that it was correct, and you'll see the syncing message. Afterwards, it will go into the shutdown command or whatever you chose to end up doing. In my case, I chose to just shut down at the end. And then to conclude this process, this is just a little video of me booting up to the drive I backed up to show that it's actually working once completed. As you can see, there are multiple macOS options to choose from. I chose the second one, which is not normally there, and it boots up without any issues. Exactly the same as my other macOS partition does as well. Thank you so much for watching. Please take a moment to subscribe to my channel and like this video if you haven't done so already. Also, leave any comments below with any questions that I can answer, or if you would like to see any related videos on other software solutions that are similar to Clonezilla, or perhaps other features of Clonezilla that you would like to see how to use. Thanks so much for watching.